So, are you with me? Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 2. Does it exceed last week's character study of an episode? I thought last week was a good pilot, not that I'm blown away or anything, but it's promising. Can't wait to talk with you about this one because I'm kind of blown out of my socks here. Hi fellow Disney Plus watchers, this is Thoughts After Disney Plus Watch, where we review everything new Disney Plus coming out, and I'm glad you're watching. Everything about this episode tops the previous one in terms of stakes, character development, humor. I mean, this episode was hilarious, hysterical, with really sharp dialogue. I believe the Marvel way of writing screenplay, with the continuous use of one-liners if you will, was never been executed this well. So I'm not going into spoilers yet, but of course I will refer to last week's episode. If you haven't watched the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you might want to leave this video. Sam and Bucky work really well together, and it's all because of Steve Rogers. I am blown away by the notion that Steve is still the main character of this show. Now, I know he doesn't star in it, but besides this show being a continuation of the Captain America trilogy, Steve is the catalyst of this show. It's not only that his disappearance is just a starting point for the story to begin, because it is, but no, he's constantly the guy that's mentioned, the guy that Sam and Buck are fighting over, the guy who brings these characters together in the first place. This Steve Rogers is a constant looming presence in a good way. This episode did a really good job with showing this. Kind of in a similar way, Tony Stark was handled in Spider-Man Far From Home. The heart and soul of this series, and essentially this episode, is the dynamic between Sam and Bucky. I never would have imagined these two together could be this funny. And I'm talking funny, not in a way you look back at an episode and think, well, that was handled in some funny kind of, this was cool. No, actually laugh out loud funny. I continue to be impressed by Bucky Barnes and the struggle to lose his mantle of Winter Soldier, and just like last week, Sebastian Stan really plays a character that has grown out of this super soldier hypnosis, but still you can feel the pain and trauma underneath. He shows signs of defense mechanisms, he stares a lot, it is really mesmerizing to look at him. I'm very impressed by all the characters. By the way, I didn't know that I would love this show so much. Last week I was like, fine, it's fine. But now I'm like, yeah, bring it on. Okay, so the characters. John Walker is amazing, and I actually really sympathize with him. More than I expected to be when I saw last week's one. He's really trying the best he can to fill Captain America's shoes. He enjoys some press and fan attention, I know, but he's still really doing his best. He has been training and all, and he even admits early on in the episode that he doesn't try to be Steve, just trying to be the best Captain America he can be. All in all, there's too much to talk about. I'm blown away by the characters, the conflicts, the humor, the fast pace of the plot, by the way. It's all handled in a very Marvel way, but that's good. Marvel's doing what the studio is good at, and I'm eating it up. By the way, if you're interested in commentary on the previous episode, where I also dive deeper into my anticipation and expectations for the show, you can find them listed on the right in the description or on my channel page. And before we move on, did you know I'm currently the only review channel on YouTube that is specifically Disney Plus? You'll always know what to expect. Click that button and that bell if you want to follow along. Thank you so much. Okay, now for some spoiler talk, because I can't hold it much longer. Are you still here? Spoilers. Here we go. I love the little twist the episode gave us that Bucky missed his therapy session. The episode was already taking these two all around the world, dealing with much bigger problems than Bucky's one therapy session. But that moment was also really sobering, because as a viewer, you suddenly realize, oh well, the world is not done with Bucky. He can't just go out of his way and do what he wants and, take on the mission. He needs to go to therapy lady again. Or psychiatrist, sorry. Therapy lady. No, you know what? I like therapy lady better. Let's go with that. And I believe the same will be true for Sam. When his family problems come back into play, the duality of being a superhero comes back into play in this show constantly. And I think that these characters will face a lot of backlash for their actions, and I can't wait to see these guys in more trouble. And I don't mean that in any sadistic way or anything. What did you all think about the humor? I mean, stuff like the big three, the aliens, androids, and wizards, and all the back and forth about that. The back and forth about Red Wing. Bucky having read The Hobbit when it came out, having fun with his age. Thanks, Doc, for making it weird. One of the funniest lines in the show so far, and the staring contest in general, with the guys having to sit closer to each other. Really, I think I've never seen funnier humor in the MCU. Maybe it's tied to Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers Infinity War, but then again, this isn't any less than that. But the best scene in all of this episode was Isaiah and his confrontation with Bucky about his past. I mean, of course, Bucky goes to him for help. I mean, to fight super soldiers, you need super soldiers. But just like Bucky, in his own way, he wants to distance himself from the past and all that. all that he's been through, and the visit of Bucky and Sam bringing all the memories up, and the acting was very intense here. Now, one small nitpick, I'm not so sure why the writer thought it was necessary for Falcon to emphasize Black Super Soldier when he asked Buck why nobody brought him up, Isaiah. I quote, "So you told me that there was a Black Super Soldier decades ago and nobody knew about him." I mean, it's a really small nitpick. It's small, but why include his skin color, It's a bit weird. It's not necessary, in my opinion. Final thing I want to talk about this week is John Walker. If I didn't know any better and I wasn't a viewer of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I was just part of this world, for instance, I would really see John Walker as the hero and Sam and Bucky as the dangerous rogue guys with way too much power. I mean, duh, you've been programmed and fed by the media that you're supposed to like him. Well, yeah, that's true, but no, not only that. I really empathize with Walker, with the hard work he had to put in to get to this position, him trying to do the right thing. I enjoyed his opening speech at the event we saw at the start of the episode. I would totally root for him. He seems like a good fit, right? And I really hope he ultimately works together with Sam and Buck, but that puts us as viewers in a difficult position because this show is so going to make him a villain, and I don't want that. I want them all to be a team. It would be a great team. But no, he's going to be handled in a way WandaVision handled Hayward. A dude with his own way of trying to solve a conflict, acting more and more like a douchebag as we go along, something like that. I want them to work together, seriously. I mean, you would want Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni to work together, right? To be a team. Well, Sam and Buck are like Dave Filoni, closely related to George Lucas, having learned from the best. Favreau is the talented newcomer. Everyone must adjust to a bit, but he's really trying to make it great, and so far succeeding. I'm thinking about wrapping this up. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to leave a like, that's cool. And don't forget that I'm back next week with the next episode, with the new episode, as well as the Mighty Ducks Game Changers. And we're doing Loki, Turner and Hooch, Monsters at Work, The Bad Batch, all that stuff. For now, have a wonderful day and see ya.